April 27th, 2022 edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm, East Coast Executives. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. The Digital Career Success Series, DCSS, is a professional development series that helps members of our Urban League Young Professional chapters and other diverse job seekers develop new skill sets that will enhance their careers through digital platforms such as webinars, Facebook Live, and Instagram Live. The goal is to provide an opportunity for professional development right from one's computer. If you want to learn more about us, please visit nuljobsnetwork.com. Today's Digital Career Success Series, Beyond Benefits, features Teron Tidwell and Cassandra Rose. Had the opportunity to speak to both of these individuals over the last few weeks. I actually had known Cassandra through conversations in the past about things that were happening in New York City. Have a great deal of respect for the work that she does. Was introduced to Teron Tidwell through Dana Wilson of CHIP. Thank you so very much, Dana, for the introduction. And I'm excited about the skill set that Teron will bring to this conversation. This is our Financial Literacy Month closeout session, so we're extremely excited to have both of you here today. Cassandra, welcome to the Digital Career Success Series.
Thank you, Kenneth, and thank you to everyone at the National Urban League for having me here. As Kenneth said, my name is Cassandra Rose. I'm the inaugural head of people at Fringe, the world's first lifestyle benefits marketplace. I have nearly 20 years of experience in HR, most of my experience being in benefits. So I'm here to help you optimize how you use your benefits to not only reach your financial goals, but all the dreams that you may think you can achieve through your job. Thank you for having me.
And we're excited to have you here today, along with Mr. Teron Tidwell. Teron, please introduce yourself to the DCSS audience.
Thank you, Ken, for having me, and thank you everyone else that's out there in the National Urban League as well. Once again, my name is Teron Tidwell. I'm a vice president with Hudson Point Capital, which is an investment bank and a wealth management firm. I've actually been in the industry almost roughly about 15 years, coming in during the worst time, basically back in 2007, going into the pandemic. Well, not pandemic, but the crash, and it was a great learning experience. And I'm basically here just to talk about the investment aspect and building wealth and just making sure that you plan for your future and growing your assets.
Well, we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so very much. Listen, we're here today to just gather some information. As I had mentioned, this is a Financial Literacy Month series, so we just wanted to lock in and provide as much information to our listeners as possible around the areas of how to negotiate benefits or how to at least take advantage of benefits. And also, once you're in a position to really look at your money strategically, how do you invest it? How do you make it work for you? So those are some of the things I kind of want to address today. Cassandra, you did a video for the Digital Career Success Series, and I thought it was really interesting because you spoke about benefit packages being 32%, I believe, of basically your income. So let's talk a little bit about that. I see we have a slide here just that involves total compensation. So let's just bounce in and out. Teron, if you have some information to add to this, we welcome your input as well, sir.
Definitely.
Yeah. So when we think about compensation, a lot of people get so excited that they were selected as a candidate of choice to get a job, and we start to negotiate our base salary, what we're going to see show up in our paychecks every 2 weeks. But what I want everyone to expand their thinking around is that total compensation is way more than just your base salary. You may be eligible for bonuses, for equity, especially those in the startup space. For more mature organizations, you might have an employee stock option plan that you may be able to participate in. How many days off do you get? Learning and development opportunities, all the things that you're seeing on the slides are ways that we as employers invest in our employees, truly the employee value proposition. And you can negotiate almost on all of these things. That's what I want you to unlock. It's not just base salary, but being able to better understand how much you are worth to your company. So if we look at the next slide that I prepared for us, if you're making about $50,000 per year, the way that an employer will look at you as an employee, the investment that they're making in you, is actually that we're paying you $16,000 in benefits. We're attributing that to when you're on vacation, work has to still be completed while you're out. If you are participating in the health plans, we're paying a certain amount of money every month to make sure that you also can participate in the health plan. 401k matches, anything that your employer puts together, this is the value that you're bringing. So that 32% that Kenneth alluded to, if you're not participating, if you're not going to the doctor, but you signed up for the medical plan, if you're not contributing to the 401k, but your organization has a match, you are giving yourself a literal pay cut because we've already budgeted for you to have those. If you think about it, someone making $75,000, if they're optimizing their benefits, they're pretty much making six figures. So you may be stopping yourself from actually increasing your overall total compensation by not truly optimizing your benefits. So go ahead, Ken.
If you don't mind, Dory, can we go back to the prior slide? So I don't want to get too far ahead, so I don't mean to stop you, but just for some of our listeners that may not kind of understand some of the offerings here, learning and development offerings, can you kind of unwrap that a little for us?
Yeah, and I actually, if you notice, I also have educational assistance, right? So your organization may provide you with tuition reimbursement. They may give you some amount of money that if you wanted to take a course or a college class, you can go ahead and take that. That's awesome, but that's not the only way to increase your career mobility. There's tons of learning and development programs, whether your organization is giving you a platform where you can learn on your own time, or they offer sessions where they bring in speakers. These are opportunities that you need to leverage to be able to increase your own expertise. I'll use a story of mine. I worked at an organization that would have lunch and learns. So it'd be something like Microsoft Office, how to better put a PowerPoint together. Things that innocuous, not super important, but going to that class, eating my lunch and learning those skills made me better at presenting, which helps me get my manager's attention. So that's what I mean of, you may not even realize that things that seem free within your organization, it's paid. Someone is paid to go do that service. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging those skills to build up your own skill set and help you then further your career and further how much you're making.
Is there anything on this list that as you as a benefits practitioner and an expert in the space, is there anything that you look at and say, wow, people seem to not value this particular item as much as some of the other things?
I would actually say three things, if you don't mind me speaking about those three. So one would be health insurance. If you are young enough, 26 and under, and you're able to stay in your parents' plan, do so. Feel free to not participate in that. But one thing that people don't realize is that you pay a premium per month when you are on the company's insurance. Maybe you're paying $100 a paycheck or something like that. If you're looking for another job, and let's say that other job pays 10K more, but maybe the medical premium is 200 or 300, you're not actually getting a 10K increase because now you have to pay more for medical insurance. I've seen some people actually take a pay cut because even though they make more in their base pay, they're spending more to get the same level of coverage. So make sure you're looking at the benefits guide. If you're currently looking for a job, always ask, hey, when I get the offer letter, can I actually get a copy of your benefits guide? They'll be more than happy to send that to you. And you want to make sure you're comparing. What are the benefits costing me here versus what are the benefits costing me there? The second piece would be your 401k. Some organizations actually do a match where if you put some money in, they'll put some money in. Whatever the maximum match is how much you can be contributing. And Teron, I know you're going to jump in on this part too, because any dollar amount that you're not matching to them, you're just leaving money on the table. And so I would joke with new hires. I was like, hey, I just was like, hey, here's $500. Would you take it? You would say yes. That's what I'm asking you to do by putting $500 or $1,000 or $10,000 into your 401k. So if you're not doing that today, literally go ahead and log into your 401k as we're talking, find out what your company matches, and go ahead and put enough contribution to get that full match. The last thing would be the employee assistance program. And I would even bundle that with any mental health programs. If your company is providing this is a great opportunity to get either free or low cost confidential counseling, not just for yourself. A lot of times it extends to your dependents. Some employee assistance programs can even extend to people who live in your households. AKA, if you live at home, your parents may be able to partake in it. Your siblings might be able to partake in it. So make sure that you're truly reading through your benefits guide, understanding, does it cover me, a significant other, my parents, what can be leveraged by anyone in your life that's eligible, and make sure you're using those things.
So it's kind of really just about taking a look at the information and making sure you understand it, and then taking advantage through action.
Yes.
I would definitely piggyback off of two things that's on there. One, as she said, with the 401k plan, definitely take advantage of that. I mean, because you're talking about 100% return from what the company is offering you. You cannot beat that. And you would be so surprised at how many people do not take advantage of it until years or maybe even decades later. Secondly, with the 401k plans, or whatever, if it's your 403b, make sure that you're speaking to someone in the HR as far as the risk and everything that is associated with the plans, as far as for yourself. Because a lot of times when I ask someone about their 401k and say, well, how did you come up with this investment strategy? A lot of times the reply is, oh, I asked someone that was sitting next to me. And so, my reply back to them is, well, based on what they're saying, they're willing to risk losing maybe 40%. Is that the same amount of risk that you're looking to take? So guys definitely need to make sure that they're speaking to HR or taking the risk assessment that's available with that to make sure that they're tailoring it to themselves. The second one, I don't know if she mentioned it, but for those who are definitely in a high income bracket, the health savings account is definitely an option that you can take advantage of to lower your taxable income, because you can put it in there and make it basically tax deductible. You can also have that grow tax free, and you can withdraw that tax free on as far as medical expenses. So that's a great way to lower, your taxable income, for those who are in the high income bracket. So definitely take advantage of that, those health savings accounts.
You know what? I appreciate all of that information. I'm going to share this now. This is the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. And yes, this will be available on the YouTube channel. So much information coming from Cassandra and Teron that I know you're going to want to rewatch this. So yes, it will be available on YouTube. All right, Cassandra, I'm going to let you take it from here because I know we can go to the next slide, but you may have finished that slide, so you can let our team know.
Yeah, if we can go to the next slide. And this talks about the employee benefit life cycle. So I want you to think about your benefits at 3 major points in time. One, for those who may be graduating, congrats, 2023 grads, or just looking for your next opportunity. As a job candidate, you want to make sure that you're comparing and contrasting as much as possible. Of course, base salary, and that's why that picture had like someone like jumping it down. Woo, cash is exciting, but it's not always king, because there's so many other things, as Teron was saying. If you're not taking advantage of a 401k plan in your 20s or 30s, you're going to have to catch up in your 40s and 50s, right? Take the today money to make sure that you're caring for yourself later. So compare the benefits package, ask for that summary of benefits. I saw someone ask in the chat, like, if they're like, no, we're not sure, say, in order to make an educated decision, I need to be able to understand how much I'm going to be paying for certain benefits, right? And take that and then ask your current HR team, hey, can I have that benefits guide? I'm pretty sure it's on an intranet or something, or they sent it out to you when you were first hired. Feel free to ask for it again and literally go line by line. How much does it cost for medical insurance, dental insurance? How much is my 401k? You want to understand so that way you can better negotiate a package that really supports you. If you're a current employee, you're thinking about performance reviews or asking for an additional salary increase or bonus, budgets may be tight right now, especially in the tech sector. There's a lot of layoffs that are happening. So maybe it's not within their scope to be able to give you an incredible salary increase. But what are some benefits you've been leaving behind, not activating? Is there a tuition reimbursement program? Find a class, a certificate that's going to make you a more valuable employee, not just internally, but on the open market. Maybe you haven't contributed to your HSA, but you're eligible for one. Start contributing today. 401k, there's certain benefits that if you haven't signed up yet, you can sign up anytime throughout the year. figure out which ones those are. 401k is an example, HSA, as I said, your employee assistance program. Go ahead and start utilizing those, because when you're not, again, you're giving yourself a pay cut up to 32%. And then if you're an exiting employee, a lot of people don't realize that if you're leaving your employer, there's certain benefits that you can use until your last day or even take with you. For example, if you have medical insurance, you're actually covered through the end of the month. So what I sometimes tell people is like, hey, get all those doctor's appointments. You probably have already contributed to what most people consider a deductible, right? The amount of money you pay before insurance kicks in. Make sure you utilize that. If you have an FSA or an HSA, if you have an FSA, spend down those dollars. If you have an HSA with a health savings account, as Teron said, those dollars are yours for life. They are tax deferred, meaning you contributed to them tax-free. They're growing tax-free. Roll that over to your next employer. You don't want to leave that money behind. Same thing for your 401k. So really look through all the benefits that you have and make sure that the ones that you can take with you, you're taking, because if not, you're leaving your own funds behind.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to do that. we want to make sure that we're financially tight, so then we can get to Teron and do something with it, right?
Exactly.
Definitely.
Next slide, please. All right, so you're getting started with a financial scoreboard, right? So this is where Teron comes in and kind of piggybacks or it just kind of expands on some of the information that Cassandra was sharing that kind of aligns well with just setting yourself up, as Cassandra was speaking about, for your future, right? So Teron, I'm going to pass it over to you, my friend.
Definitely. So Ken, if you go to a game, you know, one of the things you will automatically notice is the scoreboard. What is that scoreboard for? It's telling you what quarter it is, how many points you have up there, how many yards you have to go. So, and that's for the game. Well, for us as well, we have, you know, this game of life that we need a scoreboard. And so one of the things that I've done with our clients is giving them their own scoreboard. And so for those who may not be a client, they can do this as well. There's outlets that, you know, you can utilize, like Mint.com, Betterment, and Wealthfront. All right. Those are companies that you can utilize to basically have your scoreboard. And what I mean by your scoreboard, basically giving yourself a bird's eye view of what your whole financial picture looks like. Now, for instance, you're talking about your company's 401k. You can plug your company's 401k into that scoreboard. You can plug how much debt you actually have into the scoreboard. You can track your financial cash flow. All of that is encompassing your scoreboard, because before you can really dive into your financial picture, you actually have to know where you are and where you're looking to go. So I say start there. Make sure that you're getting a scoreboard in place, so this way you can take a look and say, okay, this is where I am, this is what I need to handle, and this is where I'm looking to go. So that's where I start off with as far as a financial scoreboard.
Hey, Teron, I have a question for you. Is there like
Sure.
a template? Is there a template out here that people can access to kind of get them started on creating that scoreboard?
Yeah, sure. So those sites that I gave you, Mint.com, Betterment.com, and Wealthfront, those are all companies that you can go to for free. I think most of them have a free version, and you can utilize that as a way to plug in everything about your financial picture. All right, from your mortgages, from your credit cards, from your bank accounts. This way, you're going to track everything. You're going to track your cash flow. You're going to track, you know, how much debt you actually have. You know, what you can actually set your goals up in there. You know, it's something similar to what we offer our clients, but it's a smaller version. But that is definitely a great way to get a bird's eye view of your whole financial picture.
Someone asked in the chat to show us what it looks like when it's completed. I'm not sure anybody wants to share that information.
Yeah, well, that's their personal, you know, your own personal information that you want to plug in there. But it's very useful, you know, because once again, you know, the same way that you go to a game, you see what quarter you're in, what the score is. This is the exact same thing, but it's your own financial scoreboard.
And Tehran, would you say that this is a really good resource, like once you have that all set up, to then bring to a financial planner and just say, hey, this is where I'm at, or at least I think I am. These are the goals that I want to achieve. How can I get there? Would you say that's a good springboard?
Yeah, it's actually a great springboard. So this way, you can bring to them, where you currently are or what it is that you're doing, or just even for yourself, because we have a lot of people that's out there that's do it yourselves. And that's basically almost, you have a lot of guys now that are definitely into the financial apps. So those are 3 resources that I definitely say, listen, utilize them to get a great starting point, just to get a bird's eye view once again of where you currently are. Now, if you're dealing with a financial advisor, they're probably going to give you a better version of that. But this is for those who are just say, hey, listen, I want to do something on my own right now. This is where you can get started. Just plugging in the information, getting an idea. You can check it. They give you credit scores and all of that. I don't say base everything 100% off those credit scores, but you can utilize it as a benchmark of what your financial picture look like. And so that's basically where I would start as far as utilizing this for your financial journey.
Love it.
So I would go to the next one. So basically, once you have that scoreboard, now we want to start putting together a roadmap. All right. As we know, looking at the current situations right now, like 70% of people, just to give you some figures, 70% of people die in debt. All right. 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck. 65% of cars get repossessed at least once. So with those numbers that we're looking at, we want to make sure that we're coming up with a game plan to basically get to where we're looking to go. So setting up that roadmap, we want to start with first, basically creating what I would say is an emergency fund. I know a lot of people like to jump straight to investments, but investing is basically the last step. It's like building a house. You would not start with the roof before you put up the walls. So you want to make sure that you're starting at the bottom level of building a foundation. And that foundation is basically starting with your cash flow, your budget. Where's my money coming in and where is it going? That's a great way to get a bird's eye view of your financial transactions, and you want to start there. At the very least, I would say put at least $2,000 to $3,000 up in that before you even start investing in your company's 401k. And the reason why I say that is because too many times people tend to use their 401k as an emergency fund, and it's not. It shouldn't be. So you want to make sure that you're putting, your $2,000 to $3,000 away, and preferably in an online banking account. And the reason why I say an online banking account is because they have no overhead. So they can give you a higher interest rate on your money. That's the first thing. The second thing is because typically speaking, it takes you about 2 to 3 days to get that money back. All right. So that gives you enough time to really analyze, do I really need this money? Or is it a true emergency? Okay. So that's why I suggest putting that portion of your portfolio into an emergency account online. So that would be basically putting that there. The second step would basically making sure that you have insurance, life insurance. Once again, with the job, right now in this current environment, people are being let go every day right now. That life insurance stops once you leave your job, right? Some jobs you can continue to pay for it and get some other ones. But on the other hand, what happens in the meantime while you're looking, for the next 6 months, 12 months, God forbid something happens to you during that time period that you're looking for, for work. Well, your family is not covered now, or those that are dependent on you, they need to have that coverage. So I always say, make sure that you have your own insurance. Don't just depend on the company for the life insurance part of that. So that's basically that on that end. I don't want to go too far into that aspect, but make sure you have the life insurance on that, on that end. The next step is basically go ahead and looking at building a wealth plan. So I'll stop right there on that part, Ken.
Well,
No,
actually,
great,
I don't know if
great
questions.
information. Go ahead, Cassandra.
yeah, I was going to say, Ashley, Tehran, so this may be a point of contention. This is the very interesting part, everyone. I may not agree. But with the life insurance, I love the point that you brought up. A lot of people are covered under their company's life insurance, right? You don't even think about it because it's free, usually free to you, and it doesn't show up anywhere. One, I want to tell you, please, please, please make sure that you list beneficiaries. If you're actively employed, you need to list who this money goes to. God forbid something happens. I cannot tell you enough. I've actually been in the position where an employee has passed away and had listed no beneficiaries. Depending on the state, it may go to your spouse, it may go to your kids, but they will spend 2 to 3 or even 4 months trying to get possession of something that if you just took 30 seconds to write their name, it would literally just go to them. So please go ahead and do that. Two, a lot of life insurances that you have through your company, you can take with you. So if you are let go or you're an exiting employee, you decide to leave, you can convert that to an individual policy. And you can do that every time you leave an employer. Like Tehran said, you can have a standalone insurance policy that you get through a financial planner or someone who's licensed to do those life insurance plans. But it's very inexpensive. You're getting the group rate, which is usually lower than if you just went on your own. You didn't have to answer any health questions to get the company life insurance. So when you convert it to a personal policy, you don't have to do that either. So if you're leaving your organization, that's another benefit you can take. Just make sure you do it within 30 days of exiting. And I do think you should contribute to your 401k no matter what, because when you think about the match, you're leaving money on the table. And the more money and more time you have, right? Compounding. If you're 25 and you're contributing $100, over a 40-year career, you're going to get a lot of money. So if you needed to set up an emergency fund, and again, this is just my personal opinion, Tehran is the actual certified financial planner, so probably listen to him better. But if you had $200, I'd split it 100 into your 401k, 100 into your emergency fund, because you don't want to leave those dollars on the table.
Oh yeah, so let's talk about that. So if I'm in my job and I present myself for another opportunity and I receive a substantial bump in salary, right? What do I need to do? Once that paperwork's signed and I've moved to that next position and I'm like, wow, you know what? There's definitely a difference in salary and it's substantial. What should my thought process be from that point?
I'll let Tehran go first.
All right. Well, a lot of times, the first thing people start thinking about is increasing their lifestyle. We call it the lifestyle creep because, okay, I was making $60,000 and now I'm making $65,000. I can spend a little bit more now. I can do a little bit more so when actually they should be looking at investing that money. Okay, because at the end of the day, when it comes to investing, we want to get to the position we're not spending the money that we make, we're spending the money that our money makes. So if you stay in a position of I was making 60,000, now I'm making 65,000, but I'm putting that money to work. If you have debt or if you have other goals, then that money is working more so of getting you closer to there than if you just decide to go out and start consuming, basically buying your way up. And so that's where I would actually say, hey, listen, let's put this towards, your investments. It doesn't have to be the stocks or whatever. It may be, listen, a down payment on a real estate property. It may be towards something other type of investments. But I would definitely say, listen, let's stay where we currently are, depending on their lifestyle, because a lot of times, everyone's situation is different. So everything is not going to be a one fit all. But based on their lifestyle, though, I would typically recommend that they don't jump up to start spending more so of their lifestyle based off of future earnings. I'm quite sure Cassandra has something.
I do. I think when you get a salary increase, even if you get a bonus, sometimes those things are eligible to go into your 401k and 403 fees if that's eligible. But I also want to invite people to think about using tax deferred accounts. I want to go back to what Tehran said about health savings accounts or flexible spending accounts. These are accounts that a lot of people don't use because they're like, I don't have money. When you do have more money, this is the opportunity to use them. Why? Because you're going to spend that money anyway. Think of it this way. If you go to the doctor and you pay a $20 copay, you are going to spend that $20. So if you put it into your HSA or you put it into a flexible spending account, one, you weren't taxed on that $20, right? Uncle Sam didn't take his piece. And then when you spend it, Uncle Sam is not touching anything. So you're actually saving more money. You kind of like make money by putting it in a tax deferred account. So when you do have the opportunity to contribute to those things, go ahead and do so. I do recommend that people put more money into their 401k. Again, a lot of times when you talk about investing, most employees will tell me, you know, Cassandra, I don't know how to invest. I don't know the first thing about it. And I'm not a certified financial planner, so I can't give them advice. But what I can share is that a 401k is always protected by the government, in that there's a lot of due diligence that goes into it. There are people at the organization that have to make sure that the performance is going really well. They hire financial planners. So it's almost kind of like a set it and forget it. And you can set it so that way it increases like 1% every year. So you're not even thinking about it. And then when you get used to money just coming out of your paycheck and going to this account that you never look at, it's kind of nice, because then you look around and you're like, oh, wow, look, I have this significant amount of money. And the last piece, Teron, I love that you brought this up too, is that people tend to use their 401k as an emergency fund, which I do not recommend at all. However, your 401k can also help you purchase your first home. You can actually borrow money from your 401k if you are going to become a homeowner, and do a loan in that way. It's not a withdrawal, it's an actual loan. There's different options that you can leverage when you're going into very intentional spending in your life. So make sure that you're making your benefits optimized. If it's between taking out a loan from a bank or taking out a loan from your 401k may be the winner. Again, Teron may disagree with me here, but I just want you to know that's an option for you. Most people don't even know that. My personal story, I used my employee assistance program to find a house inspector. So when I was home searching, I was able to get someone at a discounted price to come and make sure my home was in good shape, right? That saved me money and time from a benefit that I didn't have to pay for. So constantly go back through what your employer's providing to find different ways that as you go up in lifestyle, you're making sure you're optimizing those benefits as well.
Well, appreciate it. Hey, please drop your questions in the Q&A. We will have a Q&A after, well, probably in about 10 minutes, but please drop your questions in the Q&A. I did have a question that I wanted to ask of you that I saw in the chat. What is the difference between an FSA and an HSA?
I'll take this one, Teron. An FSA, a flexible spending account, is either for healthcare or for dependent care usage. So if you have children under the age of 13 or you have an elderly parent, you can use these funds to pay for things like daycare, for summer camps, for elder care. So make sure, like I said, if you're gonna spend that money anyway, get it in a tax deferred state. You contribute pre-tax. That way the government acts as though that's money you never made, and then you can spend it, right, without any taxation. A health savings account is pretty much the health equivalent of a 401k. This account is with you for life. Any money that you contribute into your HSA is actually your money to keep forever until you spend it. So as Teron said, I love how he beautifully stated it. It goes in tax-free, right? It grows tax-free. Like a 401k, you can actually invest and grow it. And then at certain points of a certain age, you can withdraw it to pay for medical expenses tax-free. So that's triple tax advantage money on things you were going to spend anyway. And so if you have an HSA, left it at an employer, go find it, because that is your money. And some employers actually even contribute to your HSA. Again, free money. I don't care if it's $100 that they contribute. If you found $100 bill on the floor, you pick it up. So make sure you pick it up for your employer, because they're putting the money there anyway.
Excellent. Teron, people often ask individuals, what's your investment strategy, right? What's your investment philosophy? How does one come about answering that question, or even creating or developing an investment and or saving strategy?
Yeah. So I like to say, when it comes to investment strategy, you know, there are so many different investment vehicles to start with. I mean, you have so many things. Like, you have the stock market. Everyone knows about the stock market. You have the bond market. You have the real estate market. You have the crypto market. You have artwork. You have paintings. You have movies. So all of these are investment vehicles in which to invest and multiply your money. The first thing you need to do is really find out, what is your risk? What is your risk tolerance? If I took, 5 different people and I put them in front of a flight of steps and I asked each one of them, what step do you think you can jump off of without hurting yourself? Each one of them will have a different one. One may say the 3rd step. The next one may say the 5th step I could jump off, and one might be the daredevil and say, well, I think I could jump off the top one without really actually hurting myself. Well, you've already established then what is the amount of risk that you're willing to take. So now that you have that amount of risk that you're willing to take, the next parameters is to start looking at, okay, what is my short-term goals? What are my mid-term goals? And what are my long-term goals? Because each one of those will definitely have different investment vehicles for each one of those areas that you're looking to invest in. And so that's how you actually start developing what is the investment strategy that you want to utilize. For my short term, right now, we know that a lot of the banks now are actually paying much more, because they've raised interest rates. So, if you're looking to buy a home, or you're looking to get married, or you're looking to, have children, you may not want to take the risk of investing long term, so you may look at, something for the short term. Because why? In the next 5 years, I need this money. So you wouldn't put that into a stock market, So that's how you start developing your investment strategy. What is my short term? What is my midterm? And what is my long-term goals? And in each one of those, there's different investment vehicles to try to get you to where you're looking to go as far as that investment strategy is coming into play.
All right, excellent. So kind of it's about risk tolerance, it sounds like.
A lot of it is about risk tolerance. A lot of it is also about developing something that's based off of, listen, we know the companies have 401ks. They typically give you, what they actually offer. But outside of that, now you can start investing. A lot of people are investing, on their own with the different apps. Okay, whether it's crypto, whether it's, real estate, or whatever the investment is, you can start developing based off of what your risk tolerance is and what is your goals. Because not everyone wants to be in the stock market. Not everyone wants to be a house flipper. So you develop, or you start looking at, what is it that I want to be invested in? Where do I think I can get the rate of return that I'm looking to receive? And then I can start coming up with an investment strategy. Typically speaking, your financial advisor or someone that's in that area, or those who may be, and I would say, official in that arena, because you want to talk to people that's official, within that category of the investment. They can start helping you assess different strategies, putting your money in different buckets, because at the end of the day, like they say, you never want to put all your money in one bucket. So that actually encompasses your whole investment strategy. So that's where I would start at, as far as coming up with an investment strategy to reach the goals that I'm looking to do.
Man, there's so much noise out in the space, and this is a question kind of for both of you guys. Cassandra, I'd like you to kind of hone in on the entrepreneurship side, but there's so much noise out in the space about where you can get information. I know, Teron, you kind of speaking about doing your research and finding out where you fit in as far as investment strategy is concerned. But are there any resources and/or tools, or just sites, podcasts, anything that you value and listen to and say, it seems like they're giving really solid information on this platform?
Yeah, I would share that I listen to Wall Street Journal, Your Money Matters. I feel like they do a really good job of summing up within like 5 or 6 minutes something that's topical, whether it's student loans, which a lot of us are facing. I know that in the US, first of all, the US is actually one of the only countries that has the student loan debt crisis. Most countries that are developed, you can actually go to school for free or for inexpensive, right? We're talking about trillions of dollars. So when you're thinking about, either the forgiveness plan that's supposed to be coming from the Biden administration any day now, or how to optimize an HSA, they do a really good job of like 5 minutes and you're out. So subscribe to that. I listen to it every morning during my Alexa time. I also like to listen to the Harvard Business Review Manager Tip of the Day. A lot of you are going to be stepping into leadership as you jump into these organizations and continue to grow yourself, right? You want to make sure that you know what you're doing. You make more money, the more skilled that you become and proficient you become at your job. But B, that also you're healthy enough to do all those things. So any podcast that talk to you about how to keep healthy, how to eat healthy, all of these things are available to you if you're healthy enough to work, right, Teron? Like when we're thinking about the life insurance, he made a great example. If you leave your organization or you're job hunting for a few months, your emergency funds start to get really low. You might start thinking about dipping into your 401k. So you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success from a mental health and physical health standpoint. So that way, in those turbulent times, you're efficient in what you do. And if you're actively working, you're continuing to invest in yourself. I always tell employees, you are your own products, right? When you come to work, you're really, truly contributing you. So make sure you're taking advantage of the things that are available to you and make sure that you're listening to the podcast and resources that help you make yourself a better product.
Wow, amazing. Amazing. Teron, I know you spoke about having a financial team, the importance of having a financial team. Before we get to Q&A, let's kind of chime in on that.
Sure. So financial team, you can start with your HR. A lot of people do not take advantage of their H&R department.
Thank you, Teron.
That's where it starts from the work environment. Take advantage of your H&R department once again, because Cassandra, she's more on that lane. As far as for myself, investments, you want to make sure you're talking to someone to help you with picking the investments that the company is actually offering you. Secondly, if you don't have life insurance outside of, your company or whatever, making sure that you're speaking to someone that you can definitely have that availability to have that, or to share with you, which ones are the best ones for you, or what do you actually need. So you want to make sure that you're talking to someone who knows what they're talking about on that end. Financial advisor. You don't necessarily have to have a financial advisor, but you want to make sure that you're speaking to someone in that area for long-term goals or short-term goals or different things. They actually offer more than just talking about investments. That's where a lot of people tend to think that investment advisors or financial advisors, all they do is talk about investing. And it's not. It's actually a small portion of what they actually do. Also, attorneys. You want to make sure that you have a good attorney. You don't have to have these guys on payroll or anything, but make sure that you're putting them in your network so that if something comes up, you have someone to turn to that you have a relationship with, instead of in the moment of an emergency, then you're trying to scramble around and look for something. So that's what I mean by having a financial team to help you, because at the end of the day, each one has a different lane. And you may have a different problem in each lane. You need someone to help you to be proficient in that lane as far as guidance is concerned.
And I love what you said, Teron. One thing I want to add to that, again, a plug for employee assistance program. A lot of times employee assistance program will have a network of those professionals, lawyers, certified financial planners, not someone who, heard that one podcast and now they know what they're doing, right? Go to your employee assistance program, because a lot of times you're allowed to have a call for a free consultation. And if you do decide to work with them, you'll have a discounted rate versus if you just came to them off the street. Another thing that you should ask your employer, do they have relationships with banks? Like I worked at one organization that had a relationship with JP Morgan Chase. I could get like a $250 for opening up a checking account or something. Like, make sure you're looking through everything. I like to give you the visual of, take your employer and like shake their pockets. If they've done the work of establishing a relationship with a vendor to make your life easier, utilize it, right? It's not stealing. They literally want you to use it. That's why they're assessing 32% of your base salary as part of the reason how they reward you.
Definitely.
Excellent information. All right, let's jump into the Q&A section of the program. coming down the stretch here. So one of the questions that I saw that I found extremely interesting, we have a question: should I fund my 401k only up to the company match, or should I fund according to the limits for my income?
Teron is going to argue with me. I'll let Teron go first.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say you can fund it up. Listen, if you can, max out your company's 401k. I would say start there. Max out your company's 401k. Or I don't want to just say 401k, whatever their retirement plan is, because I know some people have 403bs or all the other ones. So whatever the retirement account is, max that out. Then you can start developing your investment strategy outside of that. That investment strategy may be totally different than what you're utilizing at work, because you're limited by what the company can actually offer you. They may only have the mutual funds and ETFs versus you're setting up accounts outside to where now, you're doing gold or silver or whatever the investment is. But, I would say start there, max that out, and then start looking at how do I create, whether utilizing an IRA or Roth IRA, I can start building my wealth there as well. So I would say max out your 401k. I think I agree with Cassandra probably on that one.
Yes, we definitely agree. Take every dollar your employer offers you, please do. And then I would say I'm not a financial planner, Teron is, right? I've read 10% is a good place to start when you're investing in your 401k, right? So if you can afford that, and a lot of people are like, woof, 10% seems like a lot. Start with the match. See what that next paycheck looks like. You'd be surprised at how many people don't look at their paycheck. They just see the net pay that goes into their bank account. See what that feels like. If that's comfortable, increase it by 1%. Keep on going till you hit 10%. Because like I said, once you're doing something for a while, that lifestyle creep, you forget it. You don't even realize that it's there. So if you're at least maxing it out and then promising yourself every 6 months, I'll try 1 more %, I think that's a good way to approach it.
Well, that may be leaning us into the next question, and that is there a way to painlessly make up ground when you started late in your career with leveraging your employer's retirement savings plan?
Oh, I love this question. So if you are 50 or over, I mean, you all look great. I can't see anyone's face, but I'm just going to say that everyone who's 50 looks like they're 26. You can actually contribute even more to your 401k. IRS allows for that. So I believe it's $6,000 now. Every year they change it by like a few $100s. So make sure that you're doing that catch up. That's literally what the phrasing of it is, the catch up. And I would just say, look, it's better to start today than 10 years from now, right? So if you want to be more aggressive in how you save, see what's available to you. Paying down debt is super important. So for example, if you are 50 and you're still paying back your student loans, which some of us might still be, maybe there's student loan repayment programs through your employer. Make sure you're utilizing that. If you are at a life stage where you may be paying for your kids, is there like a college services that helps your kids apply for college, gives them the college counselor, helps them figure out their financial assistance? Leverage that as well. So no matter where you are today, it's not too late to start investing. And if you are at the earliest stage of your career, I'm telling you, time is on your side. Go ahead and start investing today.
And to piggyback off of that, there are ways to catch up. If you're looking at a simple formula of building wealth, you're basically looking at having a positive cash flow that's invested plus time equals wealth. So you do need some time, but if we can consume less and invest more, we can actually catch up. And unfortunately, our way of life is built on basically everyone being in debt. Most people, as I said, started at the beginning of this, 70% of people die in debt. So, we need to consume less and invest more. So if you can start doing that, lowering your lifestyle and investing more of that because you're behind the 8 ball, now you're looking at, okay, I can multiply a little bit more. I can put more money to work for me. And if I have some time still, then that's going to put more to work to multiply that. So A lot of people don't like to hear it, but sometimes you need the ugly truth. You have to consume less and invest more to put that money to work and have your money working more so for you.
Oh, got it. Consume less, invest more. All right. So this is a long question, but I want both of you guys to kind of tap in and follow me here. So what are your thoughts on investing HSA funds? I've contributed to one between two employers, and I'm tempted to start auto investing. Well, I'm tempted to start auto investing it once it hits a threshold, but I'm unsure. Is it wiser to just accumulate and keep it as a rainy day fund, or leverage the risk of trying to grow it by auto investing? Or does this all simply depend on what stage of life you're in?
Wow, that's loaded. I'll start because I know Teron is gonna be my cleanup and do an even better job in answering this question. So what I would say is I was one of those people too who was like, I'm just gonna put my money in a mattress, right? Like it can't get touched. When the economy goes wacky doodle, I don't have to worry about my money, but it's about the present value of money. Teron will correct me, right? So a dollar today can't purchase what you need it to 5 years from now. So investing is the only way to stay ahead of inflation, to make sure that you're not, I like to joke, eating cat food when you're older, right? You didn't work this hard to not have anything later on in life. So any way that you can invest, I recommend you find meaningful ways to do so. And to me, an HSA is a safer vehicle, not safe, safer vehicle, because again, it's highly regulated. Your employer is looking into the investment options that are lined up there. It's not you just guessing and throwing, just stuff into the sky. There are people in the organization that have to, or else they're going to be fined, have to manage those funds on your behalf and make sure that you're getting the best outcome possible. They can't protect you from loss, but they can protect you from great amounts of loss. So if you have that option to invest in your HSA, I would recommend that you really look into it and speak to a certified financial planner, because the way that you make sure that you're safe in retirement is to always find a way, like Teron said beautifully, to spend the money your money is making, not the money that you make. Teron, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. So I don't deal too often with HSA. That's really not my area. So I'm not gonna, put any information out there that may be to sidetrack from that. But what I can say to what Cassandra was saying was definitely continue to invest in it. That it's something, you're definitely having that tax-free growth, and you need to take advantage of that. Not only that, just knowing that it's going to be able to be released as tax-free is another advantage. So down the road, I believe it's once you're over 65, but once again, I'm not 100% in that area. So, but I believe once it's over 65, you can utilize that for anything once you start taking that out. So, but take advantage of that tax-free growth. So you want to maximize that and take it from there.
Got it. Last question here. If we have long-term care insurance, how may we best compare and assess the current insurance with other more competitive and economically favorable options that we may not be aware of? Please advise.
So for the young people here who may not even know what that is, LTC, long-term care insurance, it's really to support you should you be ill for any amount of time. One statistic that always blows my mind is that 1 in 3 people will be disabled at some point throughout their life, right? If you think about it, even pregnancy is considered a disability in this country for that time period. When you're retired, when you're elder ages, you might have other issues. So you want to make sure you're getting long-term care early. Some employers do offer it. Sometimes it's just an offering, meaning if you went to, for example, Geico or whoever is a provider, you might get the same rate. It's just that they can take it from your paycheck as opposed to you writing a check. Sometimes you actually get a discount through your employer. So that's the comparison you really want to make. Like, is it worth my time? I can just pay them from my bank account versus my paycheck. No big difference. Or am I actually getting an advantage? If you are getting an advantage, and this is something of interest to you, you find it of importance, make sure you're exploring that and taking advantage of it. If it's not something of interest, I would still research it, because again, as we age, our body changes And this is something, a coverage that is super important as you do. Ron, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Long-term care is really not my lane, but I can definitely say this, just having a general overview of it. Those who have life insurance, depending on what their insurance policies are and how they're structured and set up, some of them actually come with long-term care. If you don't have it, you may be able to get that as a rider attached to it, you know. So you may want to, whoever your life insurance agent is, you may want to speak to them about that, including that as part of the policy. Yes, it can be expensive for those who are young, you know. You're probably thinking like she said, why do I even need that right now? But down the road, it definitely becomes expensive. So you may want to start taking a look at that when you get, you know, at least 35, 40 years old, if earlier. But it's something that, you know, especially if you are going into becoming an entrepreneur as well, and your business is dependent upon you, you have to ask yourself, you know, what happens, you know, if I get sick, I can't work, you know, for a year or so, you know, how does my business function? You know, what transpires if I'm, you know, terminally ill, you know. So those are some things that plays into the part of why you need to make sure that you're looking into the long-term care.
Man, really, really appreciate both of you today. Exceptional information, great synergy. People have asked us if you guys do complimentary sessions on these topics and things of that nature, but we'd like to let them know where they can connect with you, just to stay abreast of the things that you're doing. You can connect with Cassandra, Instagram, Miss Cassandra Rose, and on LinkedIn. I know she's active on LinkedIn, and she's always contributing great content and sharing information that's of value. Mr. Teron Tidwell, you can connect with him on Instagram as well, MoMoney_Tidwell. Big night for Mr. Tidwell today. It's the NFL draft night, so he's looking at that money for sure. Also, he's on LinkedIn. He's doing his thing. I connected with him, as mentioned, through Dana Wilson of CHIP. Always check out Dana Wilson. Check out CHIP. They're a great resource for individuals looking for people like Teron. So with that being said, we are closing out Financial Literacy Month. If you want to stay in touch with me, Kenneth Johnson, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or you can just visit the eastcoastexecutives.com website and find out about everything that we're doing out here in this space that we call ours, right? So we, again, will be doing this in, I think it's 2 weeks. Well, it'll be 2 weeks on May 10th, actually. Resilience and Resolve. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So join us May 10th at 12 p.m. Eastern for Resilience and Resolve, a special conversation discussing how to remain hopeful during the ups and downs and off the clock. That is an important conversation. We're just coming off of Financial Literacy Month, and now we want to help you for Mental Health and Awareness Month. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. Our two panelists, you guys were amazing. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
I'd also like to thank Dory Brown, Wanda Jackson, and the NUL team for pulling this together, man. It was a rough week for me, but they kept my spirits up and let me know that we could still get this done. So thank you all for attending. We have the best audience of a web show ever. So great questions. Once again, I'll see you all May 10th for Resilience and Resolve. Thank you so very much.